الحمد لله رب العالمين وبسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين واشهد ان لا اله الا الله واشهد ان محمد رسول الله. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let me flip this up here. Go to my AirPods. How you doing?
You know, I am well. I am in, today is the thinking day, right? So I'm this moment reminds me that I have to take a break to rest my brain before we come together on Mondays, because I go down the rabbit hole on Mondays. So like having those moments to be present, come back and be like, okay, this is what you have to do now. You have to, taper off. You can't just drop. You got to kind of taper off from where you are in order to come back and show up. But I'm good. I'm so grateful. Like I'm immensely grateful. This is one of those days of the wave of gratitude where it just becomes like it's high and overwhelming. Then you have those days where it's just like, yeah, I'm good. But then there's some days where it's just skyrocketed, right? And you still have to be functional in it. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm very good.
Alhamdulillah. Look, are you clear on your earphone? Is your earphone?
I'm clear. I can hear you.
What you believe it's supposed to do? Okay,
absolutely.
Just want to make sure. Alhamdulillah. Well, it's your time to continue to shine.
It is.
So I'm gonna back on out and let you do what you do, sweetie. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone joining us again here on Wealth Creation Preservation Mondays. Those that are listening in on Blog Talk and who are following us live via YouTube or Facebook. I am Haja Kamila Shuaib, and I am honored to hold this space and have an opportunity to learn in this room, to be able to carve out time to allow myself to be taught by the environment, by thought, to grow, to feel uncomfortable in the growing, because that's a part of it. That's a part of the process. And that audio confirmed so many things for me, right? And this is to all the students and teachers, right, who are seekers of understanding, to make this this life experience a beautiful one that Allah has promised and given us the tools to ensure that, hey, yes, there will be challenges, but those challenges are meant to grow you, to expand your capacity to really understand the magnitude in which I exist, meaning Allah, the magnitude in which Allah exists. And the more you dive into this seeking, the more it can, if you are in the same room with the same experience, I'm referencing the video, that if you're not careful, you can kind of make a slip up choice, right? A slip up choice meaning that you can be more focused on the destination of what you want to get to, as opposed to the beauty of the journey, right? And what's coming to my mind is like my niece, my youngest niece, Nori, is, she's walking and, she's exploring sounds and textures and all of these different things. And it's exciting. It's exciting us even watching her, discover something new, say a new word. And like that process is a lifelong process for us. It may not show up in the same way, but when we discover a new word, a new language, a new way of seeing parts of language, it expands our world. It expands our capacity to communicate. It expands the way we see things, the way that we engage this life. When we experience a new feeling, a feeling meaning physically or even emotionally, that it goes, oh, this is a part of this human experience, right? And many a times when we think about how the society tells us, feel this way, move this way, speak this way, we are limiting our experience, right? And in the limiting of this experience, it could cause us to miss out on the richness of what's available to us. It limits the possibilities of what we have to do and to experience and to create, right? And so the video, it sends my thought process in so many areas to where I go, like, I'm finally getting to this space where I'm getting to the finish line of this book. And there was a part of me at one point that felt like I needed to be done by this date so I was thinking about the marketing, right? I was like, ooh, it'll be dope to make it happen in this. But then things kept coming up that was stopping the process, right? And then other books were coming out of people, and they had not the same topic, but it was on this kind of similar topic line. And I was just like, and my soul is in full submission to what Allah wants, but my human was kind of like, oh, you missed that boat. I think you might need to do something different. But then there was also that other voice, that other inspired stuff that said, I need you to be patient. I need you to trust that Allah wants the best for you, and you can't be focused on what's happening out there. Run your race. And so I struggled with it. Like, even I left it to the point where I had to ask myself, like, I had to make like some intense, clear prayer around how do I continue to move forward with this, right? And the prayers were like, am I doing everything that I'm supposed to do? Like, Allah, if this is for me to do, just make it easy. Make it easy and show me that if it's not for me, just remove the desire from my heart. Like, remove it from me and allow me to get focused on where you want me to go. And I'm okay with releasing that. How anybody else responds to it, not my business. But I want to be in submission to what you want. I don't want my ego to structure the direction I'm supposed to go with a particular thing. And then an opportunity came up again. And I was in a position like it's almost hard, like some miracles you can't even verbalize how they come up, because you think you're doing a thing and it's like, yeah, okay, you can see that it's that, but I'm showing you this is the way, the direction this is going to go. And it was such perfect timing that I was like, oh, this is supposed to happen. Like, it's go time. And I was able to pick the baton back up and start this journey of getting to this place of completion. because I really thought that it was just like I had to release it and be like, well, this isn't going to happen. And so in that process, then it becomes this thing of, I wasn't ready, right? And when I say that, when something happens to us and we say we're not ready, it's like there's a foundational capacity that you have to be prepared for in the responsibility of what you're going to give birth to, right? Whatever you're giving, the Mother's Day theme, right? Whatever you're giving birth to. And I'm not talking about just the physical womb, because men give birth to things as well, right? There's a proclivity for us that we have a much richer connection to what that looks like as women. So that metaphor for me really hits a different nerve in my way, right? And so whatever it is that I am going to create or produce or give birth to, I have to be prepared to be responsible for it for life, right? So whatever it is that we are seeking to create, it doesn't matter what it is. Something as simple as when you wake up and the way you greet somebody, you are still giving birth to an energy, right? That we want to engage every moment in this present moment of what this is. Like right now, this is a birthing process, what we're doing right now. And I have to be prepared to be responsible for what it is that I'm putting out into the world. And I have to be prepared to take responsibility for it and how it will affect others, which is why it's so I make it a point as much as possible, if I remember it and I'm not, rushing through a thing, to always make it clear that anything that I say that is good or is of benefit or makes you ignites this inspired goodness to your best self, I had nothing to do with that. That's all Allah, all of it. Like, don't give me the credit for that. That's all Allah, right? And if there was anything that I said that was offensive or hurtful or a lack of understanding or confusion, that I ask that you make dua for me to be better, to seek understanding, to protect myself, and to eliminate that way of thinking from myself so that I can continue to grow, because I am a growing individual. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're still growing. Growth is going to happen up until the day that we transition from this life. And so I take responsibility for my mistakes, right? And I want Allah to be involved in everything I do as much as possible so that more good comes out than the mistakes. We want to decrease the mistakes and increase the goodness, right? And that part of it for us allows us to grow and continue to expand. So this point that he had made, a lot of those points that he had made were what I would call a hypothesis. And I still need to really better understand that term, hypothesis, that from things that I have read in Quran, it has helped me to better understand purpose, me understanding purpose based on, notes and things that I received from the Imam, Rahimahullah, about happiness. Because my desire or my passion is about understanding joy, understanding happiness, understanding the sense of peace and surrender that Allah has made available to us, and that all of the things that we experience is to the journey towards being, for us being pleased and pleasing, right? I live by that, right? So the natural human proclivity is to be like, okay, well, you kind of you sticking by that a little tough, like, let's continue to get some notes and some learning and some understanding that supports this sense of belief that you have, because the way you hang on to it is pretty unwavering, right? So I always look for, okay, like you you shall not be moved from this spot. I need to understand it better. And it connected me to so many different areas in the Quran by way of, and we've talked about this before, that when we engage this beautiful gift of Quran, there are moments like when you that makes something just draw out toward you and says, yes, you're looking at, but look at this. Like, take a close look at that. And then when you allow yourself to be obedient to that inspired thought, you follow the breadcrumbs. Like, you follow, like, okay, well, then I'm going to go over here and look at that, right? And if it starts to unfold so much, sometimes you got to take a moment, take a breather, and just sit in that position. And it was the kum fayakum, right? The be, and it is. And my first confirmation, which was what I put on my neck, because I don't ever just like put things. Sometimes I just put things on as a reminder, right? My parents bought me a chain. They didn't know I was studying this. It was not a thing that I talked about. Like, hey, guess what I found out? This is, me and my dad, we have our little sidebar moments and things like that. But I don't recall ever saying, this ideal of kum fayakum, like what kind of emotions it jars up in me and made me go, I need to investigate why this moves me so much. And it was the idea of how, we show up with the assignment, and it is our life journey to discover it and re-engage it into the earth, right? That everything that is and will be is already done. But Allah has given us this opportunity to make a choice, right? Because Allah is not oppressive. Like, that's how I took it. It's just like Allah does not oppress, right? Like, if it's good, I want you to do. I'm gonna show you, but I'm not gonna oppress you. The way you show up is the way that you show up, but I'm going to give you all the signs necessary for you to succeed. All of them. I'm going to give you all of them. And you have to decide to tap in and pick up the phone. Like, when I'm pick it up, right? And this ideal of being, it's like, okay, so what am I supposed to be then, right? What am I supposed to be? And as a journaler, I'll take that moment and I'll just dump the thoughts out, right? I'll just dump the thoughts out just to see where my mind is. And I'm like, okay, just show me what that is. And so the thing that popped out for me was my name, right? And I was like, oh yeah, that's different. That's unique. Okay, my name. And in thinking about my name and what my name meant, when my parents named me, the extensive definition of my name came over time in the environment of teachers and scholars that I was raised with. They had a very simple level. And, I may have asked my dad this before, and I'm going to put a note down here this time, but what was the inspiration for my name? Was it because you like the way it sounds? Was it connected to something else? Whatever that is. Either way, that is what they said. This child will be named Camila. And so when I understood the meaning of my name and what I do now, because now I have the capacity to dive deep into what is this idea we use is purpose, right? I know there's another term, but it's like purpose is the market name that we use, right? And so I started asking friends, what your name means, and some didn't know, or some would just look it up, and I said, how does that connect to the life that you live now? And 95%, if not more, the connection to how they lived, not intentionally, it's just they had a proclivity in a particular area or arena, was connected to the meaning of their name, but they never made that association, right? And so I said, okay, this is this is getting good, right? And so I continue to go down into it, and then come upon the surah, the ayat where Allah speaks about He created us growing like plants. And then the term that the Imam always used, I loved his language of how he said, engage the earth, right? And so that's like we go into it, we go into the earth. And so Camila is the seed, right? That goes into the earth in order to become whole and complete, and all of the full on definition. I don't have time to read to you the extensive definition of what Imam Pasha had given, but it was so extensive, and it was just so much connected to my character, to the point where it says she creates spaces in order for people to feel whole, to experience wholeness and completeness. And I was like, wow, Allah, like you really working me right now, because there was always these moments that I love pouring into people. I love to see individuals reach their highest potential. I created a whole nonprofit organization around the idea of your success is my success. It's like, so creating these moments of wholeness and complete, like that's my mission. Create wholeness and complete, right? And so when you do that and you start to live this life with the blinders off, right? It is a way of always checking yourself, like, is this the behavior of someone who wants to create a whole and complete experience for another human being, right? So when we look at how we show up and the titles, the very specific things that Allah says that we are, as Khalifa, the authority in these areas. It's like, let's start with our name. And you're an authority in what, right? So what does that look like? How do you show up in that way? How are you being that? It's not, you don't even have to do, right? It's called human being, not human doing, right? It's like this, so we're not attached to what we produce, and we're attached to the environments that we create for others to thrive, collectively in this production of natural human order, this natural human growth. And so I get triggered when people don't trust their full potential. Like, it's like if I saw a lemon seed does not see an apple tree and say, I want to be an apple tree. No, your full potential is in there. You have to engage the environment, the community, the space that Allah has placed you and created, and become what it is that Allah has placed in you. So I always saw that as the I don't want to say shortcut, but as the way for us, as a clue to kind of like take away the anxiety of like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know what my life is. What's your name? Let's start there. What is your name? Right. And then also, and I'm saying, like, all of these things are unfolding in the midst of this thought. And I'll ask the Imam to clarify it about when we are raised up by our names, like the names that we have, like that is integral part of us in the hereafter, right? And during judgment, that we're raised up by our names, right? Our name is very clear, because then I have to live up to what my assignment was. So it's like when you go on a job and they say, okay, you're in the marketing department, you're in janitorial, you're in hospitality. Someone in hospitality is not doing financials. It's like, I am the executive hospitality manager. I am not the fiscal daily budget finance officer. I'm not that. So the moment I deviate from what it is, then stress will arise. Then your anxiety will arise. Then confusion will arise. Then the system in which you were placed in is thrown off, because you have chosen to take on another assignment that was not given to you by the creator of the system, of all systems, right? So how do we make a point of doing that. So in this list of what I wrote down what he said about a wants, our limit belief, and the empowering belief. Like, look at the meaning of your name and list out what are those aspects. What do you want to engage the world or leave as a legacy? Like, what do you want to have energetically that you want to offer as a result of the gift, the potential that is in that you want to have? And what is the limiting beliefs about who you are? Like, what is blocking you from trusting that who you are is who Allah has created you to be? What is challenging that? And then shift it to the empowered idea of, you know what, like, first off, because Allah knows all the things, and that I'm recognizing how much it is that Allah loves me, that I have the ability to do this, this, and this. So, what are the empowering beliefs that will support you in showing up in the fullness of who you are so that you can be and become the full potential of what Allah has for you for this life? And with that, I'm going to call the man back into the room. Oh, there you go.
All right, hold on. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Are we clear and live? Alhamdulillah.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes,
Excellent.
I'm live. Yeah.
Just to cut to it quick without much detail at all. The choice of your name simply presented itself. There was no I was not 49 years ago. I was not 49 years ago who I am today. I didn't know 49 years ago what I knew today. So the name that you got, that was Allah's choice for your name. That's it. So I was trying to find in this book, you talk about searchers and seekers, right? In this book, Thoughts for Searchers that Imam Ronald put together. There's a piece in there where the Imam said that he would actually avoid being the one to choose the name for his children. He would leave that to the mother as much as he could, and everybody, including your brother. He got his name from, I'm going to call it a suggestion from the Imam, because I asked him about it. And the Imam said, well, it can be either Muhammad or it can be Luqman. So I said, okay, we're going to use both of them.
Go both.
Yes. And so therefore, that's his name, Muhammad, Luqman, Shuaib. 3 prophets. If you take Luqman as a prophet, and that's the inclination, 3 prophets. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that actually we should name our children, our sons, after prophets, right? And so that all of your nephews and my grandsons and your son, they all have names of prophets, right? Jacob, Ismail, Ibrahim, Muhammad. Am I missing anybody? Salahuddin has Luqman. I believe he has Luqman in his middle name, or Shuaib anyway. He's got Shuaib in that. So alhamdulillah, excellent, wonderful as always. And we're going to continue in the same theme. We acknowledge with greetings everybody who has joined us, and we will bring up your comments and statements and greetings before we actually close out today's broadcast. But for now, I'm going to go on with the content that we want to continue with today. We are continuing on spirituality is the physics we don't yet understand as a theme. The main thing is the introduction to spiritual physics. Imagination is what we've been focused on. And so we're seeking to understand and get a better grasp of how what we think creates. And my orientation is I'm always looking for looking for, okay, what is the mechanism? What is the causal pathway? What is the domino that needs to be tipped in order to get everything to fall in line, if you will? And that's what we're continuing to do, even with this subject. So let me go ahead and share this. All right. So spirituality is a physics we don't yet understand. And so this is where we ended last week. So we're just going to take a slow walk through this statement. This statement is from Bernardo Kestrup. I'm going to go ahead and mention his name, and you can go online and look at some of his material. But I have to tell you, you have to take your thesaurus and your dictionary with you when you go, and also your philosophical hat has to be on. And of course, dua for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the beseeching Allah for help and guidance, clarification, and not getting caught up with any fish bones. So let's just walk through this statement from this author. A kind of wave of possibilities percolates upward through our cognitive structure, getting filtered according to the expectations and beliefs in higher layers. Okay, I'm going to use the drawing board of your own imagination. Just imagine there's something that's at a foundation, and then it rises, but at every level there's a screen that it has to come through. And then once it gets through that screen, then it rises until it reaches the next screen that it has to get through. And then it continues to rise until it reaches the next screen that it has to get through. So at the base, from the image that I'm giving you, at the base, that base is just representing possibilities. Okay? And the universe itself, this gift that Allah has given us, do you understand that Allah has given you the universe as a gift, right? And the universe, at the base of it, in all respects, is I'll say simply, I'll say nothing but, I'll say essentially possibilities. That's what. Okay, look, where are possibilities if they're not in the universe? Let's put it like that. Okay. Where do possibilities come from? They come from the potential in the universe. They are the potential in the universe. And so now, but now these possibilities, how do the possibilities become actualities? How do the possibilities become actualities? That's what we're talking about. See, because right now, this computer that you are experiencing this on, and the phone that you're experiencing this on, it came from the possibilities in the creation, the possibilities in the universe. It was there as potential, right? But before it could come to the three-dimensional, quote unquote, actual real state that it is right now, the possibilities in the consciousness of the individual had to continue to rise and pass the filtering challenges, and rise and pass the next filtering challenges, and rise and pass the next filtering challenges until it came into manifestation. Hold on to that picture, because that's what it is. That's what it is. I want you to think about it. You should even get your own piece of scratch paper or whatever, your little note, illustration, whatever method, and draw that picture. Draw that picture and put the information on there, because I just told you straight that's what is involved. At the foundation is the universe of possibilities. And when the individual conceives of seeking to bring something into reality, it begins at that essential foundation of possibility and potential that is in the universe. But it does not get closer and closer and closer to realization, actualization, until it passes through all the filters necessary for it to come into manifestation. Let's go on to the next line. Getting filtered according to the expectations and beliefs in higher layers, right? So if you want to move off the first floor and get onto the second floor, then you have to have expectations and beliefs that are tied to the second floor, right? And you have to have an expectation, you have to have the belief that is appropriate for existence on the second floor. And you have to do the same. You have to have the expectations and beliefs that are suited for the third floor. And you have to have the expectations and beliefs that are suited for the fourth floor. Anytime your expectations and beliefs fall short of what the second floor requires, you can't go any further. Or after the second floor, your expectations and belief fall short of what the third floor requires, then you can't go any further. And for good measure, if you get to the third floor, but then you don't have the expectations and beliefs required by the fourth floor, then you won't get to the fourth floor. You're there on the third floor. So all these possibilities, you see, you as a consciousness, you as a mind, I'm going to put it this way also. You as a believer, don't think religion in when I say this time. You as a believer in the possibilities manifestation. You as a believer in that possibilities manifestation are the one who is trying to bring that possibility into reality. You're carrying it. You'll carry, just personify your consciousness, personify. You can even call it ego, and I don't mean in any kind of negative way. Personify your sense of existence, your psychic reality, having discovered something in the potential and the possibility of the universe, and you want to take it from just the possibility. You want to bring it into actual existence so that it can do, like Ray Charles say, do what it do, right? So that it can do and be what you have conceptualized it to do and to be, but it has to be filtered as it percolates upward. It has to be filtered through your cognitive structure, which has to have levels of expectation and belief that are commensurate with what you're trying to accomplish. The more it is that you're trying to accomplish, the greater the strength of your expectations and beliefs have to be, because you're going to have to deal with the filtering that happens. The challenge in this instance, the challenge that is going to face what it is you're trying to realize. And if you don't have sufficient expectation and beliefs with regard to what it is you're trying to bring out and bring up, well, then you're going to stop at whatever that level is. So continue with his statement. He says, then whatever possibility survives the filtering congeals into the form of a concrete classical reality. And that's what I just described to you. What I just described. You want to make a typewriter. I'm just grabbing whatever comes to my mind right away. You want to make a typewriter. Okay, well, you want to make a typewriter. Okay, you believe that the possibility for the making of a typewriter exists. Once you believe that it exists and it begins to form, it begins to literally take virtual form at the point in time that you have this feeling and this therefore belief that it is among the possibilities, and it is. We know this is all past tense, but apply it also to anything in the future tense that you don't have, and that you have a feeling that, okay, this needs to exist. There ought to be this, whatever it is your thing, whatever you want to call it. All right, so what have you done? You've tapped into the possibilities of the potential universe. Kind of like, okay, I was like, the universe, okay. It's like, Okay, it's like what? Go on with it. Go on with it, right? So it's like now it's you and your own cognitive structure and being able to assess how much you expect and how much you believe in that thing coming into a reality. And if you get it through all the appropriate filters because of your expectation and belief consistent with that rise, then in time it will congeal into the form of a concrete classical reality. Brother and sister, just understand there's nothing controversial about that in that sense. It's like, yeah, what it doesn't matter. You can start with a wagon wheel, you can talk about an automobile, you can talk about kites. I'm just talking about stuff that's just coming through my mind. It's like, where did they start? They start at the essential potential of the nature of creation. That's where they start. Who brought them out? The one that had the cognitive structure, the expectation and belief that that potential can become a reality. Okay, so what about you? What about me? Right? Let's keep reading. The wave of possibilities is the source and the fuel of universal creativity and originality. Okay, let's work with this. Actually, next page I have highlighted in red, but I'm going to keep working the way I am right now. The wave of possibilities is the source and fuel of universal creativity and originality. You know that we have this word called energy. We have this word energy, right? That's the word. In Arabic, it would be said a different way. In Asian language, it would be said a different way. And whatever that stuff is that we call energy, right? That is also the substance, the essence of the universe's possibilities, meaning that the possibilities are all energy, right? Understand this. They are not something without force. They are not something. Possibilities, the totality of possibilities of the universe also represents and exists as the essential force of the universe itself. So all the possibilities are also all force. That is, all the forces in creation are what? Are also all the possibilities. So every possibility that we reach for and that we try to bring about, it is energetic also by nature. It's not flat. It's not what can I say? It's not let's call it impotent. It has energy, it has force because it comes from the nature of everything that is made of energy and therefore is force. All right. So, and it is also, he said, this wave of possibilities. As we talk about the wave of possibilities, then we're talking about when something starts moving. Here, listen. When we decide that we want to bring something into existence, you started something. You started something. You started moving something in the realm of possibilities in the universe. You started thinking about, and that thought, that cognitive structure, starts moving the energy and force in the nature of creation. That's it. So it's like you don't have to get whatever unrealistic. I'll put it like that. No, it's just take it just like that. When you think about, when you conceptualize, when you imagine, when you desire, when you intend something, listen, something, okay, here's something. So it could be anything that you have imagined, that you have intended, and that you desire, and that you conceived of. As soon as you start, the potential in the creation, you should sense it like, okay, it's getting started. How did it get started? By your thinking about it, by your intending it, by your desiring it, by your wanting it. So the potential is it's moving. It hasn't come together. It hasn't taken any particular form yet, but it's moving because you tapped in by your intent, by your desire. You've tapped into the potential in the creation. The universe knows that. I'll go ahead and use that. I'll stay with that. That of all of its potential, it's like, oh, okay, this person wants to make a nail clip. No, don't forgive the randomness. I'm just telling you, it's just random because it applies to everything. Nail clip. Okay, the universe knows that a nail clip is possible. The universe knows that a nail clip is possible, but the universe is not going to create the nail clip. It's the one who conceived of the nail clip. They have to do what they have to do in order to bring that nail clip from the potential in the universe to a reality in our hands. That's it. I mean, really, that's it. So whatever possibility survives this filtering, it congeals into a form of a concrete classical reality. So we have nail clips because this process was fulfilled with respect to the one who invented nail clips. That's it. And it's the same with the automobile. It's the same with the baseball. It's the same with basketball. It's the same with, volleyball nets. It's like they all came from the same place. Okay. And so they arise as waves of possibilities. Okay. So you've drawn out and you called out a wave of possibility once you conceive, desire, intend, etc. You've called forth, and so now this wave of possibility has been activated. All right, and the energy in it as a potential, as a possibility, that's what it brings its own energy. Its own energy. It's not your energy that's doing it. It's your consciousness, if you will. It's your mind. It's your thinking. It's your expectation. It's your belief. That's your responsibility to keep believing it, keep expecting it. Okay. Yes, and so the wave of possibility is coming towards reality as long as you have the appropriate expectation and belief for each layer through which it must pass, and which it must pass. That's just the natural how can you say, opposition. There's the natural opposition to that. Alhamdulillah. I'll use Camila's metaphor, Haja's metaphor. She started talking about the birth from the womb, right? The womb. So God has shown everything I'm talking about right now. That's what happens with conception and pregnancy. Everything I'm talking about right now. See, because the sperm is emitted into the birth canal, and everything in the birth canal is trying to stop it. Everything in the birth canal is trying to stop that sperm from reaching the egg. So we say it that way, but better said, because it's not the formal enemy of it. It is the opposition necessary to filter out the unqualified. To filter out the unqualified. Because if you're not qualified, you don't have the right to get to the goal. And how do you get to the goal? You have to transcend. You have to get beyond all that opposes you in your journey. Right? So that's in the birth canal. So that's a sign of how everything. So I say about this NBA. I have something to say, of course, about that before we conclude, inshallah. In any case, I said whoever. The same way with Super Bowl, any Stanley Cup, doesn't matter. The NBA seems to be the highlight right now. Well, at least for me. Then it's like whoever stands on top and hoists that trophy, they deserve it. They deserve it. Period. Point blank. Because you had to beat everybody. Excuse me. Olympic gold medals, you deserve it. Because you had to beat everybody. You had to overcome all opposition. You deserve acknowledgement at the highest level. And so, alhamdulillah, that's how it is. And that's how it is with people who have these stellar, which means star, right? These stellar achievements, these inventors, these creators, these people who accomplish within various systems, right? Because they transcended, they overcame it all. And nobody did so without opposition. Nobody. Period. All right, so that should be clear. The wave of possibilities is the source and the fuel of universal creativity and originality, meaning that the force, these people that stand on the top tier of the bronze, silver, gold in the Olympics, and those who hoist the trophies for these various sports events and activities, they do that because the force of the possibility was with them. Yeah, there's a Star Trek meme in there somewhere. But that force of possibility is in the nature of what it is that they are pursuing, and it has its own energy. It has its own energy. There's the potential for the thing. Listen, the potential for the championship, Muhammad Ali and the gold medal in boxing. As he was aspiring, the thing in potential itself was also aspiring with him and through him. See them as with a separateness. The potential which is coming, it has been brought out by his intention, by his aspiration, by his desire. He woke up the wave of possibility in the nature of creation, and it is born, quote unquote, in that conception with its own energy. With its own energy. And so when the individual embraces the possibility, did you hear what I said? When the individual embraces the possibility, meaning what? They expect and believe in the possibility. There's me and there's the possibility. There's me and there's the possibility. The possibilities come from where? Coming from the essence of creation. And what does it come with? It comes with its own energy. Because as it is being constructed and as it moves as a wave of possibility, it advances in accordance with the expectation and the belief of the one who is desiring, intending, and striving for it. And as long as they hold at each level the appropriate expectation and belief about the possibility that they have awakened and that they aspire to, then they're going to always be energized by the possibilities, the energy in the possibility. So the wave of possibilities is the source and the fuel of universal creativity and originality. Now it goes on. Without it, the cognitive activity in higher layers would grind to a halt. She's like, when you stop expecting, when you lose the level of expectation, when you lose the level of belief, in the wave of possibility for what it is you originally, how can you say, aspired or desired or intended, but then your expectation and beliefs as the challenges face you, and as you face those challenges, if your expectations and belief wane as you go to higher levels, then in time the cognitive activity grinds to a halt. you no longer have the commensurate, the correlated, the requisite expectations and beliefs in the possibility. So you lose your energy, you lose your connection, it loses its force to come into reality, because it takes both. It takes both the one who intends and to hold on to the expectations and beliefs necessary at every level that the challenge in pursuit of the goal brings. Yeah. And so in some of these last couple of NBA championship games, it's like, what happened to these guys? What happened? They just collapsed. They what? Who is this person? Where is X? Because this is not that guy, right? There's been a possession. That was a mosquito. There's a possession that has person is like alien, right? So, in any case, that situation is an indication of this is what happens when you lose the level of expectation and belief that's required to go to the next level. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say, I was trying to keep names out of this, but it became evident that Jason Tatum woke up to his potential. Right? Out of the whole lot of things could be behind it. Doesn't matter. But what is often pointed to, and rightly so, in recent days, is like he was in an interview and he said, "I'm one of the best basket," and said it in a matter of fact kind of way. It's not like I'm one of the best in playing basketball. He didn't say it like that. He said it's a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact. You can tell by the way he said it that he believed it. And that was clicked. I mean, he had flipped whatever the switch was to get him back to the level of expectation and belief about his progression to the next level. And it was on, let's say, like Donkey Kong after that, right? The wave of possibility. So the energy in the possibility of his winning, just go with game 7. His energy, his expectation and belief, and the energy of that possibility, they met in the garden. All right. And the rest is history. Now, he still got more mountains to climb. But the point is that this is the case where his success did not grind to a halt, unlike the opposition. So I'm telling you, that's a living example of what we're talking about here. So without it, the cognitive activity in higher layers would grind to a halt. There would be no novelty feeding it from below. So it's like, and you can tell, it's like you can look at it and say, where is the life? Where's the energy? Where's the vitality? Where's the competence? Where's the skill? Where's the creativity that was in the game of the losers? It disappeared. So having lost that expectation, having lost that belief, they lost the connection with the energy that comes with the wave of possibilities, and the rest is history on that. So the author goes on, he says, there would be no novelty feeding it from below, right? When you see those people that are in the zone, in those kind of situations, who have the right expectation and belief for the next layer to bring what they aspire to the next level, they are extremely creative. They said, how did he do that? How did that happen? Look at this. Oh, this is a highlight reel. Why? Creativity. That's the energy coming from the wave of possibility, because once the wave of possibility is awakened and rises to certain levels, then the wave of possibility itself is saying, look, I'm ready to come out. So look, let me get into you a little more so that I can bring out more of your potentiality, since we're this close, meaning we are this close to the goal of realization, and we're this close to each other because your energy is now matching and drawing from me deeper possibilities in my own nature. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the potential in creation that was born with the intention. Okay? It's talked about novelists, right? So novelists, this says there would be no novelty, right? We talk about novelists, right? Novel means new, right? So novelists, the real novelists, they don't know how their own story is going to end. Not their personal story. I'm talking about the story that they're writing. They don't know how it's going to end. They're trying to figure it out too. But and also with artists, I'm talking about literal artists, right? Aesthetic art. When they also get into this creative mode, right? Getting into this creative mode, they will do so much, but then what it is they're working on will start speaking to them, to tell them, in order to complete me, you should have a little more shadow here. This color should be more like that. The horizon should be more over here. That's the art speaking to them. And it's the same way with novelists, right? Playwrights and authors. These characters start talking to them. These characters take on a life of their own. So in this statement here, talking about the creativity that grinds to a halt. So those who fall short at whatever the level might be that they whatever petered out. But for those who are going on, the creativity, the wave of possibilities begins to come more and more realized in that person's life, and therefore the creativity begins to happen, because now that universal potential that is connected with all other potential in the creation begins to feed the activity of the intender, the activity of the one who is striving. So without it, there would be no novelty feeding it from below. How this wave gets filtered and then congeals into one particular reality. I'm going to skip that interspersed there so the sentence can be clear. How this wave gets filtered and then congeals into one particular reality depends on the belief system running in those higher layers, right? So whatever it is that you're talking about creating or bringing into existence, as we've already said, you have to get past level 1, then you got to get past level 2, then you got to get past level 3, then you got to get past level 4, because it's percolating up through the different layers that are necessary in order for that thing to be actualized and realized. And your belief structure is manifest as through and by, I should say, evidenced by how you respond at level 1, how you respond at level 2, how you respond at level 3, how you respond at level 4. Quran speaks of Abraham, alayhi salatu wasalam. It says, and of Abraham who fulfilled all his obligations. Abraham who fulfilled all his obligations. So think about all the trials that Abraham was faced with, from a young boy to an old man. He faced all of those and he passed all of those, right? And so he fulfilled all his obligations, and now he's the model for all humanity, right? And that's the case for anybody else who arises to the top of the mountain of their particular work and their particular skill set or what have you, domain. That's it. Okay, so you have a belief structure. It's like you have. This is why when in sports, for example, when they talk about people who've never been to a postseason playoffs, right? They've never been in playoffs, right? So they don't have that. They don't have that experience. So they're going to be incompetencies at those levels in those people because they never had the experience. And so those who had the experience, if they can, call up that experience and sustain the expectation and belief at each of those levels which they had accomplished before, then they have a leg up, if you will, on the ones who don't have prior experience in that, right? So how that wave of possibility, how it gets filtered and how much of it comes through, it congeals into one particular reality depending on the belief system running in those higher layers. So that little intersperse, we'll read that real quick. A process that your quantum physics calls wave function collapse. That's another subject, but that's what's happening. See, everything starts as a wave of possibilities, right? So it's no particular thing at that time. As long as it's a wave of possibility, it's no particular thing. It's not a thing. It's just possibility. But as it moves through and is filtered through these different layers, it's becoming a particular thing. As in the second portion of this, it says, it congeals into the form of a concrete classical reality. So the very description that he's given is saying this is quantum physics. This is, even as I spoke to you where I spoke to you in reading through this, but it is quantum physics. So remember that this whole thesis is spirituality is a physics we don't yet understand. So what we're talking about there, when we can correlate and we can translate and we can mirror in our creativity from the perspective of intending, desiring, aspiring to bring something into realization, it is connected with the principles that are operating inside of quantum physics, which is dealing with the small but yet the physical, the small but the physical. When Newtonian physics deals with the large and quantum physics deal with the small, but either way, they're dealing with material reality. But we know that material reality and all of its manifestations and all of its rules and laws are only signs of what's going on metaphysically, what's going on spiritually, right? And when you understand that that's what it reflects, that the laws operating in quantum physics, the laws operating in Newtonian physics have their metaphysical mirroring, okay? So that spirituality versus materiality. So there's the physical, the quote unquote Newtonian physics, the quantum physics, then there's spiritual physics, and the spiritual physics operates in the realm of the abstract, doing the same thing in the realm of the abstract, the unseen, just as is happening in the realm of the material, which one thing mentioned here, the wave function collapse. Wave function collapse, I mean, I'll say that it's simple, but I guess everything's simple once you understand it. Allahu alam, this is no boast. But the idea is that the whole wave function collapse has to do with, you can also make note, is the measurement problem. So the idea is that, so nobody has ever seen an atom. Nobody's ever seen an atom. And there's what you call the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Muslims are really by nature and by faith called to be scientists. So it's like, we shouldn't have to apologize or whatever about using scientific language, because that's where we're supposed to be, along with the faith, right? That's Abraham. Abraham had science and faith. And God gave him science so that he would have more conviction. All right, so he's our model. But the point is, or continuing, the point is that the Heisenberg uncertainty principle has to do with the more you know about an atom's position, the less you know about its velocity. The more you know about its velocity, the less you know about its position. You can't know both of them at the same time. You can't know its velocity and its position at the same time. like you can larger objects, whatever, star, moon, sun. You can see their position and you can measure their velocity, but you can't do that with an atom and subatomic particles. Okay. So protons, for example, are used in what they call the double slit experiment. Look it up. Double slit experiment, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, wave function collapse. Just look at it, and it's saying what we're saying. So remember, everything we said in this third paragraph right here said the wave of possibilities. So once you form an intention, then the wave of possibilities begin. You don't have the thing itself. All you have at that point is possibilities. But as your beliefs and as your expectations are sustained and maintained with regard to the realization of that possibility, then what you would do, it will in time transcend, move from just a wave of possibility, and it'll collapse into a concrete classical reality as is spoken of here. That's it. And it goes for everything we talked about, whatever, lawnmowers, automobiles, books, all that. Okay, so I hope you got that. But that has to do with the belief system that's running in these higher levels. Because if you lose faith and you stop expecting the realization and the actualization of what you have conceived and aspired to as something you want to realize, well, that's what happened. You killed it yourself. You killed it yourself by stop believing. You killed it by yourself by stopping your expectation. Man, what am I thinking about? Who do I think I am? Okay, you're killing the possibility. Let's move on. So once again, thus the reality. They're shooting my watch here. Don't change the watch face on me. Okay. Once again, thus the reality you experience is a function of your deeply ingrained beliefs. That's the bottom line of this quote. How that wave of possibilities becomes a concrete classical reality has to do with the function of your deeply ingrained beliefs, what you really believe. Okay? That's it. If you don't really believe in what it is you're aspiring to and what it is you intend, you can't trick the universe. You can't trick the universe. It's like because as soon as the expectation and belief leaves, then it goes back to just a pure possibility. All right. So let's understand that. Okay, so I just spent the time going through that. So that was the other way I was going to do it, but I'm satisfied that we've done that. I've used the, you know what? I'm going to do something a little, just switch up a little bit different. I've said this. I haven't used this as the concrete example, but I don't want to go through all this. So, hey, take a screenshot and, work with it accordingly. I'm going to go on to something else. And then also, I want you to also be prepared. I'm going to even skip that. I'm going to skip that. So next week, maybe we'll come back to that. I think I want to end my comments, and then also I'm going to open up for easy for those of you who are on Blog Talk. You can push 1 on your phone when I finish up, and you can ask questions, make comments. When I come back, I'm going to go through because I'm not looking at any of the chat or what have you while I'm talking, but I will click through those things when I get to those chats or the chat when I get to it. But in order to get voice, you need to be on Blog Talk Radio to call in, and then you push 1 on your phone and say. So here's the illustration. Here's the illustration for what I've said, and the illustration for what I've said. Right. So you have the beginning, everything beginning, and to the extent that there's doubt, it doesn't exist. So doubt is like zero, right? It's like zero. And also it doesn't exist. So when you fully doubt something and the thing does not exist, well, that's basically where it's going to stay. Basically where it's going to stay. But the movement for realization is a movement from doubt to doubtlessness regarding whatever it is that you're talking about, whatever you think is a possibility, I don't care. If you want to get a PhD, or you want to build a business, or you want to create something, invent something, it's fine. Question is, do you doubt your ability? If you don't doubt your ability to do it, then keep on moving to where you get to a state of doubtlessness about whatever it is that you aspire to, right? Because that is the empowering force in the possibility, right? You have to have the expectation. You have to have the belief. If you don't have the expectation, you don't have the belief, you're not going to make it, because the realization comes about based upon the magnitude of your deeply ingrained beliefs. So, and again, you can't fool the universe. Either you believe it or you don't. Then also what happens is, so you have the thing non-existing, but then as it gets closer and closer and closer to its realization, then it comes into existence. Now, this dotted line here, this arrow going forward, is a combination of both. Okay? So the less doubt you have in what it is you're imagining, right? You're moving from doubt to doubtlessness in relationship to the thing that you're imagining. Then what happens then is, as that increases, the more the realization of what we imagine is coming about, right? So this dotted line is a combination between the movement from doubt to doubtlessness and non-existence to existence, and it reflects the mastery of performance and conformance to the rules. See, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you want to realize, everything has rules. Everything has rules. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You can name any goal that of any type. There are rules that go along with that. And you have to know the rules. You have to conform to the rules in your aspiration to realize that. And the more you do it, then the more your movement is moving from doubt to doubtlessness, and also from non-existence to existence. It is a function of your mastery of the performance and your conformance to the rules for what it is that you hope to bring about. The Wright brothers and human flight, what do you call I don't know, is it called unmanned human flight? Whatever, solo flight. They had to study aerodynamics. They had to learn everything that was necessary. What were the rules for something to be able to take flight? Once they learned that, once they knew that, and once they constructed a vehicle that conformed with respect to those rules and laws, then they succeeded. That's it. And had they ever lost faith in the possibility, then, like so many other things that didn't come into existence for hundreds of years, thousands of years, then it wouldn't come into existence. It wouldn't have come into existence as well. Okay, so that's it. So the science, so you need to know the science of what it is you imagine, plus have the mental and physical behavior that lines up with a dynamic plan that you believe in. You have to believe in your plan, and solidly writing the plan down is another source of bringing that wave of possibility and its energy closer to reality inside the concrete plan. The plan itself is a source and a force of energy, right? And the more you have faith in, and the more doubtless you become about your plan and acting in accordance with it, then the more it comes into realization. Tie your camel and trust in Allah. Of course, Allah has everything to do with what will ultimately arise, but you have to tie your camel as well. All right, so we're going to end that part of the presentation here. Right now, let's go ahead and take that out. And Haja, come on through. Any comments? I'm just going to tick through these. I'm just going to tick through these comments here so people can recognize. This comment came after your presentation. That was powerful and timely, sister. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Go ahead. You can speak. I won't be speaking over you. I'm just putting them up.
No, I mean, what you share is so whole and complete as far as like what we need to do and how we need to do it. I think that what's important is, you know, maybe to think about what are some systems that have worked for you that can help other individuals peel back what works for them and how they utilize these things that you have come to discover. I think that it can feel overwhelming if you don't quite know, well, okay, how do I use this for the betterment of my experience?
Yeah. Well, for me, it could be. I stay with the NBA example. It could be. It might not be the best analogy. I might be driving more toward humor than anything else. But
Yeah.
it ain't no joke. It's like Russell Westbrook. Some people on there, no
Mm-hmm.
disrespect intended, but Russell Westbrook. Uh, well, when I met him, he was OKC. When I say met him, I'm along with everybody else. So I don't know who he played for before OKC, but it was at OKC, Oklahoma. Uh, it's like it's almost like he's got one gear. It's like all out. He's just go. you And so in some
Mm-hmm.
systems that work, and in other systems not. It doesn't work, and it didn't work. So I'm saying, for me, I try to the best of my ability to make a matter plain, and that for me aligns with what Imam Muhammad actually told us to do. We have to take these complicated ideas and put them into a language for the average person so that they can get the benefit of it. And so sometimes the material that I work with from certain perspective, for as far as philosophy, for as far as science is concerned, uh, it's like I know that that's what the world is leveraging. That's what the world is benefiting by. And I have the statement from Dr. Abdul Hamid Abu Suleiman, speaking about how the failure of the elite among the Muslims, in that sense, both the political and theological leadership in the history where we fell off, is that we failed to recognize the new technology and how it is going to impact our systems. And we failed also to recognize how to harness the new technology to our overall ideals, values, and the paradigm of Al-Islam. So I'm always simply trying to get us to see that Al-Islam is already where the highest knowledge already is. But you have to you actually, in my view, you have to talk about Al-Islam at the highest level, and you have to talk about science at the highest level, so that we can understand that Al-Islam is already there, where it's coming. So it's like you have to, and everybody has to ask a question. You have to ask the question for you. Um, and
Yeah.
that's part of the background of the Hadith of Jibril, right? That the Prophet wanted people to ask questions, but nobody was asking any question. So Allah sent Jibril to
Mm-hmm.
come and ask the questions, right? And then when he
Mm.
left, he said, "Do you know who that was?" He said, "No, Allah's no." He said, "That was the angel Jibril. He came to teach you your religion." So, okay, well, how did he
Mm.
teach you your religion? By him asking
By
questions.
asking
So
questions.
that's what we are. And the prophet, peace be upon him, he said the right question is half of knowledge, right? But if
Yeah.
nobody ever asks question, you can't advance your knowledge. There's certain knowledge that can only come down so far, right? You can bring it down so far.
Yeah.
If you could oversimplify something and it's not even the same thing anymore for as far as its real potency, right? So I all I can do is encourage people to ask questions. That's me. So I'm saying it could be a Russell Westbrook moment in my analogy. It's like,
Yes.
is that the best you can do? In terms of that. And again, no disrespect to Russell Westbrook. I just I've said positively. It's like his thing is like, I just go for it. I just go for it. I bring all of me and I leave it on the floor and that on the court, and that's that. So more.
No, I think that that's it. We just have to have this level of awareness to be a seeker. We just have to take on the role of seeking. So no, it was very clear, plain for me. Yeah.
All right, alhamdulillah. All right, y'all. That's gonna be it for tonight, for today. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It is always a pleasure. What's coming up? Look out for. We're going to. I don't know when, but y'all keep your ear to the ground. Sister Judy Musa. She's in Detroit now. But she's also the prime trustee of the Dr. Zakia Muhammad's trust, and out of which the two-part book from Sister Clara Muhammad, or about Sister Clara Muhammad, that has a very unique history to it. I think we're going to begin to do some series of interviews with her and others regarding the content of those two books. We don't know that history is really potent. So we look forward to the same way we did with Imam Darnell. So it's probably going to happen on Wednesday mornings with Judy Musa and other guests around the topics of whatever it may be in a given chapter. So it may not have been someone that was involved in the publication of the book itself, or the writing of the book itself, or the compiling of the book, because Dr. Zakia wrote the book, or the compiling of the book, but someone who's familiar with that domain or that area. So I expect it to be real exciting, inshallah. So everybody keep heads up looking for that. Also, Thursday, I am one of the faculty now of the Islamic Learning Institute. And so if you're interested, you should enroll. I'm doing Salah and Dua part 2, or the level 2 in the Islamic Learning Institute. And it takes place from 5 to 6:30, I believe, 5 to 6:30 on Thursday. So check in with Islamic Learning Institute to be a part of that. And you do a Monday piece, right? Did anybody get in on that?
Yes, I have. It is definitely wide open. Accountability click. Just go to loveisalwaysthesubject.institute. It is for women, and we meet 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every every Monday for an hour to check in with ourselves, set the goals, create the tone of awareness for oneself, and go through the journey for whatever those goals are, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And we hold space for each other in a safe environment. So, yeah, that's what I do every Monday.
Alhamdulillah. Excellent.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, y'all. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
All right.